Welcome to Simplify with Mr. Pi. Today's question is, what is a statement of equality and how can I verify them? Please write today's question down. All right, first, before we go into this lesson, I want to go over a few vocabulary words. These vocabulary words are actually at the end of your lesson in your book, right before the problem set. I just moved them up to the front because we're going to talk about them first. What is a variable? Remember, a variable, it's just a symbol, and it represents a number. It's a placeholder. Remember, I like to put in a noun to where that letter goes. Instead of saying to A, I like to say to apple. And then remember, you can't add your A with your B's. You can't add apples and bananas together, so you leave them as they are. You can combine 2 apples plus 3 apples, but you can't combine apples and bananas. An equation, that's a statement of equality between 2 expressions. So remember, expression is just one side. It does not have the answer. An equation is one that has items on both sides of the equal sign. And remember, an equal sign, that's basically just the verb for the word is. 3 plus 4 is 7. A number sentence is a statement of equality between numerical expressions. So it's the same as an equation, but it's just numbers. So there's no variables in a number sentence. And a solution to an equation with one variable is that a number that, when substituted for the variable in both expressions, make the equation true. Number sentence. So if I have x plus 2 equals 5, to make the solution, I have to put the variable by itself on one side. And to do that, I have to minus 2 from both sides. Those 2 equal 0. X equals 3. So the solution is that the variable is on one side and nothing else. And so I know that my variable, my x, equals 3. So for the opening exercise, I want you to attempt this one yourself. We'll go over it in a little bit, but pause the video. It should take you about 5 to 10 minutes to complete this one yourself. When you're done, raise your hand. I want to check it, see what you can do, see what you did, and then you can move on. So this will be our first stop and check. Please pause the video. Okay, your brother's going away to college, so you no longer have to share the bedroom. You decided to redecorate the wall by hanging 2 new posters on the wall. The wall is 14 feet wide, and each poster is 4 feet wide. And you want to place the posters on the wall so the distance from the edge of the poster to the nearest edge of the wall is the same as the distance between the posters, as shown as the diagram below. So it's telling me that this distance from here to here, and here to here is exactly the same. So we know this is 14 feet, and then we know those are 4 feet each. So first thing that we do to get this is 14 minus 4 minus 4. 14 minus 4 is 10. 10 minus 4 equals 6. So now all that's remaining is this, because we took out those posters. And we know that the total of that is 6 feet. And I'm going to divide it by 3 because that's 3 gaps. And that equals 2 feet. The distance is 2 feet. 2 feet. 2 feet, 2 feet. So that was that was the arithmetic way of answering this question. If we wanted to solve it algebraically, the first question we ask is, what is the unknown? And remember, these sections right here are what we did not know. And we know that all 5 of these sections together added up to be 14 feet. So we would say x plus 4 plus x plus 4 plus x equaled 14 feet. And because these are all plus signs, we can use the commutative property of math and we can rearrange it any way we want. X plus x plus x plus 4 plus 4 equals 14. Or we would want to say 3x plus 8 equals 14. This right here would be the algebraic question, algebraic equation from this question that we read. Hey, and we can check and see if I still get 2 with this. So let's plug in 2 as my variable, plus 8 equals 14. 6 plus 8 equals 14. Yes, it is true. All right, let's move on to the next question. Your parents are redecorating the dining room and want to place 2 rectangular wall scone lights that are 25 inches wide along a 10 2/3 foot wall so that the distance between the lights and the distance from each light to the nearest edge of the wall are all the same. Design the wall and determine the differences. So it's the same thing as before, but instead of posters, they're lights. But if you look, this says feet and this says inches. So they're trying to trick us up on that. We have to make sure. Remember, 12 inches equals 1 foot. So let's go on to the question here. Let the distance between a light and the nearest edge of the wall be x feet. So they want us to work in feet. Write an expression in terms of x for the total length of the wall. Then use the expression in length of the wall given to the problem in a right equation that can be used to find the distance. So first, we want to do it in feet. So it's going to say that this edge is going to be, this distance is x. And this distance right here is 25 inches, but first we need to convert that into feet. If 12 inches equal 1 foot, we're going to divide by 12, 25 over 12, and we can simplify that to 2 1/12 foot. So 25 inches, or 2 1/12 foot. So let's write out that equation. X plus 2 1/12 plus x plus 2 1/12 plus x equals 10 2/3. They are all plus signs, so we can rearrange it any way we want. 3x plus 2 1/12 plus 2 1/12 equals 10 2/3. I'm going to add together my two numbers, which are 2 2/12, which equals 4 2/12, which I can simplify down into 1/6. So I'm going to subtract 4 1/6 from both sides. And that gives me 6.5. I had to get the common denominator of 12. And then I'm going to divide by 3 to get my x by myself. And x equals 2 1/6 foot. So we can try that arithmetically, just like we did before, and do 10 2/3 minus 2 1/12 minus 2 1/12, and that's going to give me 6 6/6, which would be 6.5. So if I take this, I subtract that side, and then all I'm left with are the 3 x's. So I'm going to divide by 3, and I'm going to get 2 1/6, just like we did before. Now, write the equation where y stands for the number of inches. Let the light distance between the light and the nearest edge of the wall be in inches. So write an expression. So first, we got to go back and we got to see what is 10 2/3 feet in inches. So 10 times 12 equals 120 inches. 2/3 times 12 equals 8 inches. So 10 feet is 120 inches. 2/3 of a foot is 8 inches, and together it's 128 inches. So this distance right here can also be written 128 inches. So first, let's solve it arithmetically. Make a line. So 128 minus 25 minus 25 equals 78 inches. And then I have 3 x's left, but in this case, they're going to be y's, because y, they said x's were feet, and then the y are inches, so 78 divided by 3 equals 26 inches. Let me go back and label that one feet. So let's write out the equation. Y plus 25 plus y plus 25 plus y equaled 128 inches. 3y plus 50 equaled 128. Because 25 plus 25 equals 50. 3y plus 50 minus 50 equals 128 minus 50. 3y equals 78. Multiply both sides by 1/3. And y equals 26. Very good. Let's move on to the next one. What makes value of a y for the second equation true 25 or 20, 24, 25, or 26. So how we're going to do that is before we solve this equation. So let's pretend this part of the equation we didn't do, and we just stopped right there. 3y plus 50 equals 128. And sometimes it's actually a whole lot easier doing it this way, plugging in a number for y. So let's do it. 3, 24 plus 50 equals 128. 3 times 4 equals 72 plus 50 equals 128. 72 plus 50 is 122. That is false. Now let's try it for the 25. So I plugged in the 25 here to where the y would go. 3 times 25 is 75. So 75 plus 50 is 125. That does not equal. So this one also is false, actually. I do not want those hash marks because I am telling you that this is false. And then the last one, let's do 26. So 3, plug in my 26 to where the y was, plus 50 equals 128. 3 times 26 is 78, plus 50 equals 128. 128 equals 128. True. Since it's a true value when we substitute 26, that distance should be 26 inches. So the equation equation is true when substitute 26 for y. Sometimes it's going to be a whole lot quicker to just substitute in a number than to solve it algebraically as we did here. And we'll actually have a little bit more time doing that. The ages of the 3 sisters are consecutive integers, meaning they go in a row. 1, 2, 3 are consecutive integers. 88, 89, 90 are consecutive integers. And the sum of their age is 45. Calculate their ages. So it says to use a tape diagram to find their ages. So we know that we got the youngest sister, we got the middle sister, and then we got the oldest sister. And we know that together the sum is 45. Now to use a tape diagram, we're going to need some variables. We don't know how much the youngest is, how old it is, so we're just going to say that she is X. But we know the middle sister is X plus 1 because she is 1 year older, because their ages are consecutive, and that means the oldest sister is X plus 1 plus 1. So how would we solve this arithmetically? 45 minus 3 equals 42. Because if we know if all of this equals 45, if we take off these 3, we know now that these 3 x's equal 42. 42 divided by 3 equals 14. So we know that this x equals 14. So the youngest is 14 years old, the middle is 14 plus 1 years old, and the oldest is 14 plus 2 years old. If the youngest sister is X years old, describe the ages of the other two sisters in terms of X. Write an equation for their sum of their ages in terms of X, and use an expression to write the equation that can be used to find their ages. So first, let's describe their ages in terms of X. So the youngest, we're going to say, is X years old. We're going to say the middle is X plus 1 years old. And the oldest is X plus 2 years old. So that must mean the sum of all the ages is X plus 1 plus X plus 2. Meaning my equation is X plus 45, because the sum of all those ages is 45. Determine your answer from part A is a solution to the equation you wrote from before. So I got my answer of X equals 14. So let's plug it in and see. So I have my equation here. I'm going to rewrite it. 14 plus 14 plus 1 plus 14 plus 2 equals 45. So I plugged in my answer because I know that X equals 14. I just plugged it in where the X's are. 14 plus 15 plus 16. Yes, that equals 45. 45 equals 45. True. So we went back and we first solved it arithmetically using the tape diagrams, and saw that we did 45 minus the 3 and then divided by the 3 to get the 14. Then we solved it algebraically with our equation here. We plugged in the 14 and we got a true statement. Okay, exercise here. I want you to try A, B, C, and D on your own. When you are done with that, raise your hand, and I will check them, and we'll move on. Summary. In many word problems, an equation is often formed by setting an expression in equal to a number. To build an expression, it is helpful to consider a few numerical calculations with just numbers first. For example, a pound of apples costs $2, then 3 pounds costs $6, because 2 times 3. 4 pounds costs $8, and in pounds costs 2 in dollars. If we had $15 to spend on apples, we wanted to know how many pounds we could buy. We can use the expression to write the equation 2n equals 15, which we can use to find the answers $7, 7.5 pounds. So just like we did here, what this is saying is just like we did here, we first solved it with just arithmetics. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit easier. Sometimes if you just take the things that you know, 25 plus 25, I know that equals 50. If you just take those simple things that you know, it's going to make your equation a lot simpler. To determine if a number is a solution to an equation, substitute that number into the equation for the variable and check to see if the resulting number of the sentence is true. If it is true, then that's the solution to the equation. So just like we did here, just like we did here, just plug it in and double check to see if it works. That's exactly what we're going to do to see if these are true. On some of these problem sets, you're just going to plug it in and then tell me if it is true or not. So I want you to finish all 4 of these problem set questions, and then when you're done, raise your hand and you will get your final check for today, and then we'll be done for the day. Thank you for listening.